Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Joe219, here with your AEW Dynamite Grand Slam review for September 21st, 2022. Grand Slam, I'm sure AEW had other ideas in mind for a Grand Slam when it came to All Out, but obviously with the melee ensued and the aftermath from it. Plans obviously change, and we still had a hell of a Grand Slam this time. It wasn't, you know, as big, obviously, as last year's was, but still a very good show. And, we've seen it with the rings and such that AEW's been very consistent coming out of All Out, and it's good to see because they've stayed the course, and we know how talented the roster is, so it's good to see. Now, before I get into the review, a couple things I got to touch up on that happened at Grand Slam. First, Jon Moxley is once again the AEW World Champion. Now, I thought originally that Bryan Danielson would have been a great pick to win the title. But in a promo MJF cut earlier when speaking to Will Yuta on the show, that whoever wins the main event will be only losing the title to MJF. And when thinking about it, when Bryan gets his due, because pretty sure it will happen, when he gets his due and he becomes the world champion, you won't want him to have a short-lived reign. I think that's pretty explanatory. That if he wins it, he's only going to drop it to MJF. And with MJF and Moxley, there's obviously the history of from 2020 during the pandemic, from All Out, the presidential campaign of MJF, and him becoming the leader, and so on and so forth of AEW over Moxley. 2 years later, both have grown, but Moxley, despite all the CM Punk chaos, he has been the constant of AEW, and him getting rewarded despite it being we don't know how long the reign's gonna be, because we know he's gonna drop it to MJF, and then MJF's gonna go on his reign. But it's great to see Moxley get his reward again for staying the course despite all the shenanigans with CM Punk, the Elite, and so on. Secondly, Saraya Knight, aka Paige, is in AEW. She is all elite. And it was a weird, nervous feeling, I would say. But good feeling seeing her because we know what happened at the tailor end with her run in WWE. We know she burst onto the scene very young with WWE. She was the NXT champion. On her first night, she beat AJ Lee to win the Divas title. She was both the NXT Women's Champion and the Divas Champion all in the same course for a little bit. But Paige was one of those that helped Soren this more attention to women's wrestling and NXT and the women. I mean, yes, AJ also was a big component in that as well, but Paige was definitely one of the catalysts for this movement of women's wrestling in WWE and so on with AEW. I'm sure her influence is also there as well. And it was unfortunate seeing how her WWE run ended with that injury, that, fluky injury that happened in the match with Sasha Banks. And it was unfortunate. She was GM, but pretty much did nothing after that. And here we are. So, we've said it for weeks and months that AEW's women's division lacks juice. It lacks creativity. We can just look at it. Jade Cargill is the TBS Women's Champion. She's not the World Women's Champion. She's undefeated. She's the secondary Women's Champion. But she's being treated as like the AEW World Women's Champion, which doesn't make sense. You really have her and Britt Baker as in your two quote-unquote stars of the division, and not treating really the rest of the women on the roster. So, I mean, it's, hopefully, what this means is that perhaps Tony Khan is going to pay more closer attention to the women, and they need better creative. Is the number one mission. And Paige being there, I imagine she's going to have a lot to say in regards to the division and how it can be better. Her little inklings. We'll see, but it was definitely a cool moment to see her in AEW. And the Acclaimed. You know, the Acclaimed really are a success story. And you like to see the building of new talent in AEW or pro wrestling, whichever. But them building new talent, they started during the pandemic in Daly's place with their little gimmick, and then Anthony Bowens got hurt not once but twice. Max Caster had to do a little singles action or work by himself for a while. So that was stressing for the team, but they worked on their craft, they got over, they continue working. You know, that match and that reaction, All Out, was great. And, you know, it was a little stunning, I would say, that they didn't walk out the World Tag Team Champions that night. So, this pretty much Tony Khan saying that we missed the boat on All Out, but we'll give it back to you on Grand Slam. So they did. Very good reaction, not as big as All Out, but still a good reaction and great to see for Max Caster and Andy Bones. But it was a good show nonetheless. And before I get into the review, thank you for joining me. If you're new to podcasts and you want to see more of these pro wrestling reviews on the channel, sports overview topics, you can find them on the homepage. Click the description, subscription there in the corner. Take you to the homepage, find all my videos, notifications, etc. Like, comment. But let's get into it. The review, shall we? So, Grand Slam start off in good fashion. We had Chris Jericho versus Claudio Castagnoli for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Now, I have been taking a little break from watching Rampage. I mean, Rampage has just not been doing it for me as of late. But I will tune in to see the Grand Slam portion of Rampage. But this match came forth on Rampage on Friday when Jericho challenged Claudio for the world title to get his 8th world title. And Claudio was gracious to accept. And this was a fun match, I have to say, and good way to start the show. Despite it being so, Jericho was reluctant to do the Code of Honor. Excuse me. They shook hands but slapped Claudio in the face. Claudio pressed Jericho over his head, threw him onto ropes, crotched him, and knocked him to the outside. Kerry Silken, who is a legend of Ring of Honor. He was in the crowd, was in front row. Jericho on the outside actually hid behind Silken and push him into Claudio to get an advantage, and then actually shoved down Silken after. So they were on the apron again. Excuse me. Jericho hit a hard suplex to the outside as they went for break. Back in the ring, Jericho went for his top rope hurricanrana. Claudio, first set, countered. Looked like he was going to go for the Ricola bomb off top, but Jericho countered and countered the counter of Claudio, hit the hurricanrana off the top for a near fall. Jericho went for a code breaker, but Claudio caught him, hit a pop-up uppercut for 2, went for the sharpshooter. Jericho got to ropes. Jericho tried to use Floyd the Bat, but was intercepted. Claudio eventually hit the Ricola bomb, but only for a near fall. Claudio then walked on the giant swing, catapulted Jericho into the corner, hit a big lariat, only for a 2. So then Jericho tried to use shenanigans again, but referee Aubrey Edwards was distracted. Jericho hit a low blow, hit the juice effect on Claudio. 1, 2, 3, and we have a new Ring of Honor World Champion, Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho now has his 8th world title, got his ocho. Now, this outcome was surprising, considering how much Claudio has done with the title, given he just won it at Death Before Dishonor in July. But now that I look at it, so Jericho is the bigger name than Claudio. There's that. And maybe this means that they're inching closer to a TV deal for Ring of Honor, or perhaps the executives probably asked for Chris Jericho as the world champion. And it's unfortunate because, like I said, Claudio just won the title, like almost 2 months ago at Death Before Dishonor and has the short end of the stick, but it is that. But on the bright side, now he's no longer champion. He can go back to the Blackpool Combat Club stuff, away from Ring of Honor, and get back to AEW feuds. And for Jericho, Daniel Garcia is the Ring of Honor Pure Champion. And we know that feud is going on. So, this more ties into it that Jericho used nefarious means to win his Ocho and the Ring of Honor World title. So, I can see why, because there's a bit of a story there now with the Ring of Honor titles. Now, again, it's not great for the Ring of Honor titles to be defended on Dynamite, but it is what it is, and hopefully they're closer to a deal. Swerve and Our Glory versus the Acclaimed for the AEW World Tag Team titles. This was a good one. Good one as well. We had all title matches on the Grand Slam show on Wednesday. So, good stuff. But, so, Max Caster was finally able to rap again. Got a great reaction in New York, obviously. So, good for the Acclaim. The reaction for Swerve Strickland was interesting. You know, he's going to eventually be a heel, break away from Keith Lee, so he can really go places as a heel, I think, for Swerve. So a portion of this match was being down on Caster. Things picked up as Bones got the hot tag, although he got pounced by Keith Lee. Bit of miscommunication with the double team. Swerve and Bones were in the ring. Swerve went for a swerve stomp, but Bones countered to a near fall. Bones was actually launched on the rampway. So they had a big LED ramp stage area. Good stuff with the roadway for Grand Slam in New York. So Swerve tried to use a boombox, the boombox by the Acclaim, but Swerve missed, hit Lee in the head with the boombox, and this one got a little strange. So Bowens hit a blockbuster on Keith Lee. We don't see Caster. And then all of a sudden he's flying off the top. He misses the mic drop. Elbow. Lands on his knee. And then so Caster didn't do anything. He just rolled out to ring. And Bowens covered for a near fall. Now, if you ask me, I think that was probably supposed to be the finish. Probably was supposed to be the finish with how the angles and stuff, but perhaps it was a mistiming by Caster. He slipped and they had to figure another way. Luckily, Caster was okay. So, Swerve and Lee hit a big assisted powerbomb for a near fall. Swerve hit a 450 leg drop, which took out the Acclaimed on the outside. Had a stare down with Billy Gunn. Referee was distracted. Billy Gunn did a famouser on Swerve in the ring. Bones' T-bone suplex, which is the arrival. Caster at the mic drop. 1, 2, 3. And we have new AEW World Tag Team Champions in the Acclaimed. 2 years ago. Well over 2 years ago. New act on AEW television. Trying to get over. Trying to improve AEW. And then over time, they got better. They improved, they did their job. Despite 2 big injuries to Anthony Bowens. But they rebounded, and now they are the new tag team champions. It didn't happen in Chicago, but it did happen in New York. Wasn't quite the moment, but they did what they could. FTR, they were backstage and they challenged the Acclaimed after congratulating them on their victory. Said they got dibs next. So the Gun Club, they interrupted them and said, how long are you going to keep complaining about not being on TV, not getting a title shot, etc., being number 1 contenders? And they said, what's up with the hostility is perhaps because they're looking at a younger, better looking, better, more improved FTR. And they said, top guys out. So, FTR, they were also a team that, with all this weird escalation of the melee in AEW, they were a team that kind of flew under the rug, because FTR, we know they're dripping gold, AAA, Ring of Honor, IWGP Tag Team Champions. It should have been the Young Bucks vs. FTR Part 3 All Out, and it wasn't. And unfortunate, but I mean, they were the inaugural Trios champions with Kenny. They went away for that, or dropped the titles because of that, and in hindsight, just all this kind of confusing. Now, the Acclaimed, very over. FTR, very over. I worry that if they do this match, it might be too soon. Both teams very over, and you don't want to have the Acclaimed to have too short of reign. At the same time, FTR just look, they're dripping in gold. And they are arguably the most over team in the business right now. So, I mean, it's kind of a picky situation. Whereas the Gun Club fit in this, I don't know. I think the Gun Club are on the rise. But I don't think it's their time yet. We'll see, though. We'll see. Will Yuta, he was out there and was with Tony Schiavone, but was interrupted by MJF, who got a stellar reaction in Queens. It wasn't Long Island, but it was Queens, and certainly adored him. So, MJF said, "Questionable Queens, the devil has arrived." And said that since they worship the ground he walks on, they might as well be his devil worshippers. Which, probably not a great line, probably won't get over well, but MJF said it. So, you know, what will you to said compared to MJF? It was just, oh my god. I felt really bad for Will Yuta. That, yeah, I don't know. So MJF said that, you know, they would drink his spit if they could. There's not a man in the arena that wouldn't let them sleep with their wife, but the only reason he won't is because he has standards. And Will Yuta said MJF's the king of the lowest hanging fruit. And know that someone got engaged the other day. And Will Yuta said, "Don't worry, he's not going to go there." But he said that she's a nice lady and she's smart, but perhaps too smart. And we'll realize, well, we all know that he's a spineless piece of garbage, and she'll walk out on him like he walked out on all of them. So MJF said congrats to Yuta. He graduated from drawing paint to pop rock sensation or something like that. So Yuta was said by MJF that he's in the Blackpool Cuckold Club and that he can still go to his mentors for advice because whoever's winning in the main event is going to lose the title to him in the future, saying Yuta could go to Bryan and say, "Hey, B-Rye, can you teach me how to turn my head into scrambled eggs or brain scrambled eggs and be injury prone?" said he couldn't go to Moxley because Moxley's not right up there. And he said, you can go to William Regal and say, hey, Willie, can you teach me how to pop pills? Yuta slapped the crap out of MJF. MJF headbutted Yuta. MJF shoved down Tony Schiavone. That was new. Yuta tackled MJF, started warming on shots. All of a sudden, W. Morrissey comes out and chokes Yuta, holds him down, or holds him up for MJF. MJF knocks him out with the Dynamite down the ring. And officials, referees come out, and that was the end. So, we know of the firm. They are aligned with MJF, or they are allies of MJF. Insert W. Morrissey. Yuta, I feel very bad for. Yuta is a very good wrestler and is very over. But with what I heard is my skepticism why I'm sure many don't particularly like Yuta as far as some. He's a great wrestler, he's very over, but when you hear him speak, I don't know, it doesn't sound like he's talking with conviction. Like, MJF sounded so confident in what he said. Just like, with the flow, and didn't say anything he wasn't confident in. I don't know. Look, it was a great reaction for MJF. Great to see him in Queens on the show, but at the same time, what this did for Yuta was not good. Not good. Orange Cassidy vs. Pac for the All-Atlantic Championship. Good match. No real comedy by Orange Cassidy. A more serious matter as he goes for the All-Atlantic Championship. I was mixed on this match, saying I could have seen it go either way. I mean, Orange Cassidy has yet to win a title in AEW, but at the same time, Pac just won the All-Atlantic title not too long ago at Forbidden Door. And, the Lucha Brothers just won, or just lost, the tag team match for Swerve and Our Glory last week. So, with that triangle losing in the span of a week, I don't think that would have been as good for them, considering they just won the Trios titles. So, but this is a good match. Pac hit twisting dive on the outside. Cassidy threw his shades at Pac. Again, not too much comedy. I mean, you did have the super kicks and all that, but not too much. It was held to a minimum. Cassidy his DTs to Pac for a near fall. Went for an orange punch and hit on Pac, but Pac just close enough to where he can grab the ropes for a 2. Pac tried the Black Arrow numerous times. Orange Cassidy was actually going Pac into diving on him with the feet up. Cool spot there. All of a sudden they get to the outside. Pac gets to the timekeeper's table. Pac grabbed the hammer, which you ding the ring bell at ringside. So when Orange Cassidy went to go to Pac, referee was shielded from behind. Pac hit him in the head with the timekeeper's hammer, rolled him back in the ring. 1, 2, 3, and Pac retains the All-Atlantic title. Pretty much giving the green light for another match. Orange Cassidy and Pac. Which I wouldn't mind seeing because both guys know each other well and have good chemistry. And building more of a story to Orange Cassidy's first title win in AEW. Build a story with it. 4-way for the interim women's championship. World Championship. Britt Baker for Serena Deeb versus Athena versus Toni Storm. I mean, we just had a 4-way match for the women to determine a interim champion at All Out, which Toni Storm won. And then last week, she lost. She was pinned in the tag team match for the women. So, not too pleasing. But this match was fine. Back and forth. Athena had a good showing. She had I'd say like a King Kong bust. They're pressed into a knee for a 2. Yeah, Athena showed out. In the end, though, Toni Storm pinned Britt Baker with a crucifix. 1, 2, 3. And Toni retains. After the match, Serena Deeb and Britt went for a beatdown on Athena and Toni. Out came Jamie Hayter, side seemingly with Britt Baker. And all of a sudden we hear this interesting music. And then we see on the Titantron Saraya. And then Saraya Knight, aka Paige from WWE, made her way. And she's now all elite. What is her purpose? How is she going to help the women's division? How is Tony Khan going to use this to his advantage? We'll see. Because the women's division has not looked great in quite a good span. So, we'll see. But good to see Paige or Saraya good and healthy. Jon Moxley for Bryan Danielson for the vacant AEW World title. Good match here. I'm not so sure if it was better than the first outing, but it's still a pretty good match from Revolution. But good match here. So they're exchanging in the middle of the ring. Bryan caught Mox out of nowhere with a psycho knee for 2. Bryan fired back in the middle with a roundhouse, followed by a knee strike. Hit another psycho knee, but again a near fall. Moxley paying homage to Seth Rollins. Hit a curb stomp, followed with a Death Rider, but only for a 2. Mox then hit a Death Rider on the ramp. Rolled Bryan back in the ring for a 2. Bryan then passed out due to a choke by Moxley, and Moxley is once again the AEW World Champion. Moxley, 3-time AEW World Champion already. But, he has been a constant for AEW, especially this year, despite all the chaos of CM Punk and the Melee. Good to see. Good to see for Moxley. Gezdu. I mean, yes, I picked Bryan, but looking back, kind of makes sense, Look, you don't want Bryan to have a short-lived reign if he's just going to drop it to MJF. So I get that. And again, the history between Moxley and MJF. But nonetheless, it was a good, very good edition of Grand Slam. It wasn't as big as last year's again, but good matches, good showing all around. But nonetheless, thank you for joining me. If you like this video, click that like, leave a thumbs up. How about the channel? How about the video? Again, subscribe as well. But thank you all. See you guys back sometime next week. Adios. I'm AJ Love. Getting out of here. Peace.